Okay, the Mishnah says as follows. Ben Zoyma Oimer. Ben Zoyma said the following. Ezoi Chacham. Who is a Chacham? Who is an individual that has wisdom? So generally one would conclude that the definition of a Chacham is someone who has more wisdom or more knowledge than others. That's the general definition. If you know more than other people, then you're a Chacham. But the Mishnah teaches us, no, that's not the definition of a Chacham. The definition of a Chacham is strangely, haloimed mikol adam, a person who learns from each person, from everyone. A person who learns from everyone. Very, very strange. Sheneemar, as it says, mikol melamdei hiskalti, ki edoisecha sichali. From all people, I've learned and I've gained wisdom because your eidoisecha, which is your witnesses, teach to me and they speak to me. Very, very strange. What does this mean? That those who are wise are those who learn from all people. Okay, let's see. Ezel Gibor, who is a mighty person. Someone that is able to overcome their inclination. Okay, so instead of the element of mightiness or strength being inferred to one's ability to exact their strength over others, essentially it's a reflexive type of experience where we're understanding that one's strength is based on their ability to master their inclination, their self, to be able to hold back essentially their ego. Sheneemar, toiv erech apayim gibor, u'moisha baruchai meloiched ir. Amazing. Better is one who is patient than a mighty warrior that is able to also Umoisho Baruchai, and same to a person that has dominion over their ruchai. What's their ruchai? Their emotions. Yeah, their spirit, which is their emotions. Meloiched ir, from a person that is able to conquer a city. Okay, so that's another very, very unique and special teaching here about what a gibor is. We still haven't gone into these aspects properly. I'm really going over them in a perfunctory way, and then we'll try and gain better and deeper insight when we start again through the Mishnah. Okay, so at the moment we just said, who is a wise person? A person who learns from all people. Nice concept, but is that really true? I mean, what am I meant to learn from all people? Not everyone is there to teach me. What does that mean? Yeah. Then we saw the concept of a mighty person is a person that's able to conquer their inclination. And we see a very unique posuk from Mishlei that says, what is one's inclination? The ability to not get angry, the ability to be patient, the ability to not be ensnared by one's spirit, by one's emotions. Wow, what a strong person. Okay, Ezuhi Ashir, who is a wealthy person? Oh, that's an obvious answer. Who is a wealthy person? A person who has a lot of money. A person who has a lot of means.
No.
But what does the Mishnah say? Hasameach v'chalkai, a person who is happy with their lot. Okay, we're going to have to try and understand what that means, because it's quite a difficult thing to be happy with your lot. We generally, as human beings, tend and want to expand. Okay, as we have spoken about previously about the concept of simcha, of happiness, it's essentially connected, as Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch explains, it's essentially connected to the element of expansion. Sameach comes from sameach, which is to expand out. So we essentially, as people, aren't happy with our lots. Happiness, by definition, is an experience of expansion, is getting more, is expanding my property, it's expanding what I own, it's expanding my experiences. So it's a little bit of a paradox to say be happy with what you have, because it's quite difficult to be happy with what you have. It's actually a little bit too hard. So how are we meant? I mean, we've been told this concept, and everyone says, yeah, be happy with what you have. Yeah, makes sense. But then in a couple of seconds, we start thinking about what we don't have and how much we need more in order to satiate that feeling. Shenemar, Yagia Kapecha, Ki Soichel Ashrecha V'Toivlach. The labor of your hands that you'll eat is praiseworthy and it's good for you, meaning whatever you've toiled for, enjoy it, but don't go beyond that. And it says, Ashrecha ba'olam hazeh v'toivlach lo'olam habe. It will be good for you in this world and in the world to come. Okay, we have to try and understand what that means. And then the final one, Eizahu mechubed, who is someone that is mechubed, which means who has honor. Who is one that has honor? Very easy question. A person who has status, a person who people honor, a person who has a position of prominence potentially. But no, the Mishnah says something very, very different. And it says, HaMechabed es habrios, a person who's able to honor other people. Able to honor other people. Not even able to honor other people, that honors other people. Well, I mean, again, a nice concept and a nice act. Amazing if you're a person that's able to honor other people. But how is that the definition of a person who is honorable? It's not. It's a person who's nice. It's a person who's sensitive. It's not a definition of a person who's honorable. It says, those who honor me, or those who are the ones that honor, I will honor. And those who despise me shall be accursed. So not only are we contending with these concepts, but again, even the psukim themselves, even the verses that are brought, and this one is from Samuel, also don't make sense. It says here, those who honor me, I will honor. One second, you just taught about those who honor others are the ones who are honorable. So what does it mean here, those who honor me? What does me, Hashem, got to do with other people? Okay, so very, very, very deep and beautiful Mishnah. Lots of nutritious concepts here to really unpack and understand in a deeper way. So let's try and attempt this, okay? We've got really 4 sections here. I think it's 4 sections, yeah. Is it 4 sections? Yeah. So what's the first one? Wisdom. What's the definition of wisdom? A person who learns from all people. What's the definition of mighty or strength? Someone who's strong is a person that's able to conquer their emotions, their tumultuous feelings. What's a person who is a person that is wealthy? A person who's happy with their lot. And then, who is a person that's honorable is a person that honors others. Okay? So now, in trying to understand these 4 aspects, the Maharal points out the following very, very important concept. And that this Mishnah is a very, very deep recalibration of self. And what that means is that our general outlook on all of these frameworks, or our general outlook on defining the self, is based on our engagement with that which is external to us. So what I'm able to compare myself to gives me definition. How I engage or relate to the external world in terms of comparison, in terms of contrast, gives me definition. It's like the general concept of the bully. Yeah, if I'm able to push someone else down, that makes me higher. Yeah. So if I'm able to instate my wisdom, my wealth, my strength, my power over others, that gives me, or that essentially defines me. But the existential issue that takes place within these forms of definitions is that if any form of definition is premised on the other or anything external to oneself, essentially we are in a constant state of flux, a constant state of instability, a constant state of doubt, because there's always those that are greater in wealth, there are always those that are greater in strength, there are always those that are greater in wisdom, and there are always those that are greater in honor or prestige or power. And thus a person is perpetually stuck in a cycle of trying to exact their strength over others, but never essentially being happy with who they are essentially as a self. Okay, so what the Maharal famously says in this Mishnah is, if you can't define yourself by essentially something that cannot be taken away from you, by something that isn't external to you, then you haven't actually discovered yourself. The self, by definition, is only ever found by something which is so intrinsic to you that it can never be removed. Okay, that's the words of the Maharal. But what does that mean? How do you find that? And if you find that, I mean, you're living in bliss, because that's a really deep place. Okay, so what is that place that a person is meant to discover that isn't premised on anyone else or anything else? What is that? How does it look? What does it look like? Okay, does anyone have a suggestion here? What does that look like? What does it look like, the place inside of us that is not defined by anything else or anyone else? Okay, everyone is able to answer here. I don't want to point anyone else out. You want to say something, Ken? Yes.
I think it's the relationship you have with your inner soul that makes you completely unique.
Beautiful. Okay. And we're going to try and understand what that means. You know, it sounds nice, but what does it actually mean to have a relationship with one's inner soul? And if we understand a relationship with one's inner soul is a constant source of vitality and joy. And essentially, it's not really premised on anything external, anything. Okay? Anyone else want to suggest something? You just need to unmute yourself and then suggest anything. Okay. Let's have a look. Let's start off with the beginning part here. Eizehu chacham. Who is someone that's wise? Okay, who is someone that's wise? Well, what is wisdom? What is wisdom? So we understood that wisdom is a deeper awareness, a deeper consciousness, a deeper holistic view of the world, a person that somewhat is able to access a deeper sense of self. According to the Kabbalists, the deepest definition of wisdom, okay, chokhmah, is pure consciousness of existence itself, okay? So now a person can be overtly aware of their surroundings, of their body, of their worries and anxieties, which is what we mostly spend our time thinking about. But if a person is able to simplify or really boil down their experience of consciousness to the awareness of existence itself, meaning, do you have an awareness that you are in existence, that you exist? That essentially is the only truth that exists. That's the only truth that you know for sure, meaning everything else we don't know. We don't know how our day is going to be. We don't know what our future is going to look like. We don't even know what people's opinions of us are. We don't even know what our opinion essentially is of ourselves. So the only thing that we actually know is that we exist. That's the only concept that we actually know for sure, is that if we dig down deeply into an essential consciousness of existence, now I know I exist. I know that for sure. I'm aware that I exist. That for sure I know. Everything else I don't really know. That's called chokhmah. Now, how is it that I'm able to then experience chokhmah? Haloimed mikol adam is a person that is able to learn from everyone. Every person is able to teach me this wisdom. So there's a number of frameworks that a person can encounter this concept and understand this concept. But generally, when a person engages with other people, okay, there are two aspects that I think tie back to this consciousness. Number one is that every human being teaches us about the essence of being. Meaning, by simple fact or virtue of engaging with another human being, try and see if you're sensitive and you can sensitize yourself to the existence of themselves as well, the consciousness that exists in that individual, the concept of that person being alive, feel a vitality in that person, okay? That's a very deep message and teaching that every human being is able to teach oneself. By just virtue of the fact of engaging with another human being and sensing a life force, a consciousness that's inside of them, there's a deep, deep awareness that a person is able to inspire within themselves as well. On the converse, when we're not aware of that, what we become aware of is the pain in relationships. And the pain in relationships, which is really the engagement or the abrasive engagement with anyone, is when we engage with people's egos. And engagement with people's egos only comes to the forefront when our ego is also in the picture, when our externality is in the picture. So when I now find a dissonance with someone else, it's only because I'm identifying with my egoic self. And it's now in contrast with someone else's ego. And thus, it's a platform for me now to dig deeper into the wisdom that's found within me, to reignite an awareness of the deeper consciousness of self that exists, the deeper I that's there. So now essentially every relationship, every engagement with humanity is now an opportunity to bring a deeper awareness and sensitivity to consciousness itself, either in the positive of, wow, I'm able to really sense the life force in another person, the consciousness, the simple and profound consciousness in another person, and thus it gives me an awareness of my own. Or it's in the context of a dissonance that a person can experience through the clash of the ego, which then gives an opportunity for oneself to reevaluate and then recalibrate the consciousness within themselves. So now if every relationship is essentially functioning on this level, then a person is able to develop a state of wisdom from every experience, and they become a chacham. They're able to learn something deeply from every person. Every human being has this element inside of themselves. And every human being has a different consciousness and a different energy and a different spirituality that they're able to really impart on someone else, okay? Now, the next step, but what we're able to notice here is now wisdom is not premised on better than someone else, on the knowledge that I have better or more than someone else. It's premised on a simple resonance that I'm able to now firstly tap into within myself, but then I'm able to connect to someone else. Any questions about that at the moment? Okay, makes sense so far? Okay, let's go on, let's move on. Ezuhu Gibor, who is someone that is mighty, who is someone that has strength? So again, what is strength? What's the essential definition of strength? So again, to reshift and recalibrate, to understand that strength is not only our ability to impart our power or our ability to force another individual to be coerced to our type of experience or what we want, to be stronger than someone else means I'm able to instate my strength in someone else. I'm able to force someone through my strength and my prowess. But rather, it's now reshifting an awareness of the inner self. What is the inner relationship that's there? So again, we have something called a Yetzer. A Yetzer is essentially a type of inclination that exists. And that inclination is part and parcel of the relationship one has with, or the unconscious relationship one has with their ego. So the ego is a force which is there to instate its self. And the ego doesn't want to let us have an awareness or a consciousness within our existence of life. The ego wants to instate itself. So now, where does the ego find energy? Where does the ego find power? It finds it within negativity. It finds it within emotions. It finds it within the lower self. So now when I feel angry, or I can feel negative, or I can feel a sense of, I feel something in me, that could be through desire. When I have these forms of inclinations, of these energies that are within me, the ego is very happy. The ego feels, finally, I'm now able to instate myself. When I get angry against someone or show my anger, or when I'm able to experience a desire, or I'm able to experience a negative emotion or negative feeling or thought process, now the ego feels a sense of self. The ego finds its existence within not existing. And thus those experiences or emotions that are there to cloud one's vision of the essential self. Comes along the element of strength. What strength is the ability to say, 1 second, this energy that's flowing or that's clouding me inside is not essentially who I am. The essential self is much deeper. As Kenny put it, the relationship with one's soul is the essential silence existence that exists within a person. Now, when a person is able to overcome the tide of emotion, the pull or magnetism of one's anger, desire, negativity, and instate their silent self, the spiritual self, the resonant self, that's essentially a person coming along to say, here I am, I'm able to instate my power, my might. That's the most mightiest form of a person, to be able to identify essentially with who they are. Okay, any questions about that? So now if we move, Phillips asked, can you explain why the ego finds its existence in non-existence? Okay. So if we understand that the ego is essentially the concept of edging God out, okay? The ego itself doesn't want God in the picture, because it means that we have to humble ourselves to a different reality, to reality itself, okay? So if the ego is able to edge God out, that means now I'm in the picture, I'm the focal point. I've got strength, I've got dominion, I've got dominance. So now your question again is, can you explain why the ego finds existence in non-existence? So now what is existence? So if we understand the essential form of existence is God, is the creator, is the Ein Sof, is the expansiveness of existence itself, which is God. If we understand that to be the definition of existence, then by virtue of the fact that the whole raison d'etre of the ego, the whole purpose of the ego is to edge that out, then anything that will disassociate me from existence itself, will push me away or pull me away from a state of consciousness and positivity and resonance with my life, but rather, encapsulate me or cage me within a state of negativity or desire or overt sense of external self, which is pushing away God, edging God out, then that's what my ego wants. So Kol Zman, every time that I'm able to stay within that, stay unconscious, the ego is fed and the ego is happy. That's why we'll have bouts of experiences where people want to have dissonance, they want to create issues, they want to fight, because they want to satiate that feed the ego self, the egoic self that's there. Okay, does that make sense there, Philip? All right. So now moving on, Ezehu Ashir. Who is a wealthy person? What's the definition of a wealthy person? So continuing this concept of the ability for an individual to remove their reliance or their connectivity to life itself, we now reshift our identity into another external framework, and that is called wealth. So where a person is able to experience some sense of autonomy or a real expansiveness of their ego, which means they can sort of trick themselves into an experience of, I don't need God. I am the one that's able to essentially manufacture my own experience of life. I don't actually need to be present. I can exact my state of expansiveness as opposed to being totally present into the essential expansiveness, which is God. I can expand through wealth. Then what we're learning here is that's an unsatiable experience. A person is endlessly chasing that experience of expansion. It's never enough for them, the amount of wealth that they have. It's a perpetual cycle of I need more and I need more, because in order to feed somewhat the inner self, they have to have a constant experience of expanding within wealth. And that's very, very difficult to achieve. And not only is it difficult to achieve, it's impossible to achieve, because however much a person is able to make, it's never enough, because it's not about how much they've made, it's the concept of expanding. It's the concept of having more and making more that gives a person a sense of self or external self. And thus what we're learning here is that the essence of wealth is happiness with one's lot. But if you recall, we asked the following fundamental question, and that is, if essentially we are never satisfied because the definition of happiness is constantly expanding, then it's a paradox. How are you ever meant to actually be happy with what you have? How are you actually meant to look around and say, I'm happy, I don't need any more? You can't. It's impossible to do such things, because we are built innately to always expand. So how am I meant to be happy with what I have? Does anyone have a suggestion here?
I think that wealth is relative. Are you talking about material wealth, or are you talking about the wealth within? You know, it's always relative. I mean, the guy in the street who's got a loaf of bread and the bloke next to him has got 4 slices, the man with a full loaf of bread is obviously wealthier in terms of a material perspective. It's all relative. You can never ever reach the ultimate in that, because, you know.
So what's it mean here that you're happy with your lot? How do you actually experience that?
Well, that's you have to decide what makes you happy in terms of your lot. I mean, you know,
well, what we're seeing here is what makes the person happy is the constant sense of expansion, the new position, the higher pay grade, making more money, expanding their property, expanding their dominion. Yeah, Yehuda?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, being happy with your lot. I'm not so sure that it's got to do with whatever you want to accumulate or about future dreams and stuff like that. I think it's more being really like present in the moment. This is my lot that I have now, and that I should be happy with what I have now. My clothes, like Kenny is saying, that guy with the 1 slice of bread, he might be happy. Next to him is a guy with 4 slices of bread who might not be as happy, or he might be just as happy. And I think that's important, because that helps us to focus and not live in the future or live in the past or that kind of thing. So I think that is also what being happy with my lot means, is that here where I am presently, this is what I have, that I'm content with what I have currently here where I am. It's more, to me, it's more a state of being present rather than living in the future and what I could have and should have and all that kind of stuff.
That's right. But yeah. Let me just ask a question on that, and then Philip will say something. So Yehuda, you're 100% right. That's what it's saying. But the question that we're asking is that's very, very difficult. I mean, even while you're saying that, I can look around and say, wow, what a nice cup, beautiful cup, and really look at my cup and say, I'm so thankful for my cup, and I'm so thankful for being alive, and I'm so thankful for everything. But then a second later, a person comes into the trap of thinking, but what don't I have? What do I need more of? How do you stop that? What do you need to reshift? If essentially what we are understanding is that we have in us a makeup of needing to expand, needing more constantly. So if I can't satiate that, then I'm not gonna be able to experience my lot. I'm not gonna be happy with my lot, because simcha is essentially expansion. So how do I expand within my experience of what I have if it's not expanding? That's the question here. Yeah, Philip?
I have an idea.
Yeah, 1 second, Jenny, Philip, and then Jenny.
Rabbi, what about the individuals whose lot in life is that of expansion, but they're happy with what they have in terms of material wealth and other aspects of their life, but what they do is the concept of expansion, and they use the benefits of that expansion creating good. How does one deal with that? So they're happy with what they got, but the concept of expansion leads to them being able to do lots of good with that.
You're saying so they expand in experience of doing good. So by helping others and experiencing that good that comes from their wealth or whatever it is, they feel a sense of expansion through that.
Yeah, and while it's a paradox that can never reach the end of it, the expansion is what they're made up of. That is one of their positive points.
Good.
So,
I think that's a
why
good
would
point.
a professional sportsman continue to pursue another trophy? It's what they do, but they use that for good. Just a question.
Okay, I think that's a good point. But what I think we need to clarify there, and I think it's a very interesting concept, it's still, you're happy with the sense of good that you're doing, and you're now using the sense of expansion within this world for that good, but it doesn't give me an ability to be present, as Yehuda is saying. It still satiates me to some degree when I'm able to use my money or my whatever I have as a strength to help people. It does give me that, and it very much assists a person with being appreciative of what they have. I mean, it's very simple. If a person is able to go out, into the townships and help people and do chesed, it's very, very easy to understand. When you come back home into your house, you're going to very much be appreciative of being under a roof and have hot water in your own home. Definitely we would understand that. But is it essentially then going to be able to give me a consistent experience of feeling happy with my lot? I mean, it's not saying go out and do chesed. It's saying, who is wealthy? A person who's happy with their lot. That's what it is. So what is your lot? How do you experience the happiness with your lot? It's almost like just reshifting. It's not even doing anything to exercise that awareness. It's just, I'm happy with my lot. So how am I happy with my lot? So Jeremy, Yehuda said, bring yourself totally into the present. But how? It's not giving me anything. I don't feel any expansion through that. Yeah, Jenny?
Rabbi, while Jenny's waiting to come on, I understand you're saying it can't give consistency. Oh, sorry, Jenny.
Yeah, go for that, Philip. Jenny, just give Philip a moment until you recenter your camera.
Okay.
Yeah, go for Philip.
They can't give consistency of happiness with one's lot, but we read on Yom Kippur, Hashem decides who's going to get what in the next year. So surely that power is given to those individuals to do good with that expansion. And how do we know they're not happy with their lot? That's just my question.
Yeah, so I think Hashem will
because
give.
we need those people to expand. We need those individuals in them. Doesn't mean to say they're not happy, even though the concept is, what do? I continuously expand. Doesn't mean some of them are not happy.
So they're happy in that expansion. They're happy in that expansion. They're happy to give. They're happy to bring that benefit out into the world. But that's what they're happy with. But how does one then bring themselves into the moment to experience the happiness that's in that moment, in that chelek, in that portion, in every moment? So you can have a perpetual giver who's only satisfied when they're able to help others. And they're only satisfied, you can have the archetypal religious individual that's only happy when they're learning Torah and only happy when they're davening and doing mitzvahs. But what happens when they're sitting and they're having to talk to their family? What happens when they're stuck at home and they can't do anything? What happens when they're just walking around, and they can't think in Torah? Are they unhappy? What happens when you can't give to someone, or a person's not given wealth to give to anyone? So you're only happy in those minute moments of giving, and then the rest of your life you're unhappy? So we're trying to understand how you experience a happiness in every moment of life. Yeah, Jenny.
I was trying to unmute myself, sorry. I think faith. I think the answer is faith. We were talking the other day in the Mishnah about Hashem putting a net over everything. And the idea that we absolutely sure that what we are given, even the things that we don't want or that are painful, they are what Hashem believes that we need. I'm not saying that we've just got to bow our head and not try. Obviously, we pray for things, we want things, but the basic thing is faith, believing fully that what you're given is your lot. I think that that's what it's talking about.
Okay, but again, remember, the essential issue, the existential issue that we're facing is if we understand that our makeup, okay, we're going to log off in a moment, and then if you want to join us just to get the answer for this, come back on. But essentially, the question is, our makeup is perpetually that of needing more. So I understand that we think to ourselves, oh, we need more, we need faith to understand that what we have is enough for us. But no, it's not only that, it's just the need to expand, the feeling that I need to expand in myself that constantly, perpetually makes me feel like I need more. So even with faith itself, Hashem has given me everything I need. Well, okay, that's nice, but I still feel quite stuck. I feel caged in myself with what I have. I wouldn't mind going shopping and getting a new Ferrari. That would make me feel great. I know Hashem's given me my car. It's a great car, but it would be great if I can go to the shop and get a few Ferraris. I wouldn't mind that. It would be great if I can get a few holiday homes. It would be great if I can get whatever it is. I want to expand. I want to. So how do I satiate that? Let's log off and we'll log back on, okay?